everyone. Welcome back to the Birdie Briefing. I'm Marie, and today we're doing something new. Alongside our tournament previews, I'll be bringing you a fresh weekly news segment called the Birdie Buzz, which is your quick hit of LPGA news in one easy listen. Think of it like a front page snapshot, the biggest headlines, the storylines you want to follow, and a few things that you might have missed from around the world of women's golf. This is our first edition of the Birdie Buzz, and we will be covering the week of September 15th, 2025. So let's dive in. The big story, of course, if you've been following along, is Charley Hull's win at the Kroger Queen City Championship this past weekend in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a nail biter. It really came down to it. I tuned in for the final day, and I was not disappointed by the action. Charley Hull win after world number one Jeeno Thitikul four-putted. I would say go watch it, but really it's horrifying. We've all been there. Jeeno's one of us, absolutely. But still, it was painful to watch. But at the same time, I'm very happy for Charley Hull. She has had a tough year physically. She's tore a ligament in her ankle after the British Open. She's also had some back issues. She said she injured her back when she was lifting a box. She had a cyst on her spine, and then she was sick when she was at Evian and she fainted. So really, she's been deep in it, having a very tough year, has not won yet. She has not won in 3 years, but this is her first win of the year. I'm sad for Jeeno that she has to deal with the fact that she four-putted, which is really the biggest news story, almost more so than the fact that Charley Hull won. So anyway, glad to see Charley on the leaderboard. That again gives us 25 different winners for 24 different tournaments. So still no individual person has had 2 wins this year on the tour. We'll see what happens this next weekend. A little bit more about Charley. She had some really fun quotes from the weekend that I wanted to mention. She had a really good attitude. She said, the golf course is just the place I am meant to be. I love being on the golf course. I just enjoy playing golf well. It's not a chore to me. It's not work. I'm just out there loving life. And then they had a quote for her on Saturday when she was really in the top and winning contention. She said, I just feel pretty chilled out, to be fair. Looking forward to my fish tacos later tonight. I mean, same girl. So she also said, I don't think that in depth. I just hit a ball and find it and hit it again. The trouble with many golfers is overthinking. And then the last quote, it's just a game. Hit a white ball at the pin, make a birdie, make par, make a bogey, whatever. Just roll to the next hole. So she really does embody that resilience and perspective. She really showed a lot of grit and grace through her injuries, and I'm really happy for her. Another big story coming out of the tour is the Rookie of the Year race. It is wild. These Japanese rookies are killing it. I want to talk about, of course, Miyu Yamashita. I do apologize if you've been listening. I've been calling her Miyu Yamashita. That's what my little American brain thinks it should be pronounced like. But no, I listened to how she pronounced it, which is Yamashita. But Miyu Yamashita, she is currently the leader in the Louise Suggs Rolex Rookie of the Year race. She finished 4th at the Kroger Queen City Championship. So she now leads other Japanese rookie, Ryo Takeda, by 32 points. And then Chisato Iwai is in 3rd place, and she is behind 1st place by 295 points. This is the 5th consecutive top 10 finish for Miyu Yamashita this year. And, you know, even at Queen City, she just shows how excellent she is. She played in the 60s all week. She had a 69, 67, 66, and 69. She's really showing herself to be consistent and have a lot of composure for a first-year player. And I believe she's 23. She's not someone who was on the Japanese tour for a very long time like some of the others. So really unbelievable, Miyu. Congratulations for taking 1st place. It's not over yet. There's still, I believe, 8 tournaments left before the end of the year. But with her consistency that she's been showing, I think she has it in the bag. But I could be wrong. Last year, just for a little context, last year Japanese player Mao Saigo won. Mao, of course, won the Chevron Championship major this year. Miyu won a major this year also. But before Mao and now Miyu and all the other Japanese rookies, there was not a Japanese winner of the Rookie of the Year. Since before that, it was in 1990. It was Hiromi Kobayashi. So really, although the Japanese rookies are taking everything by storm right now, that has not always been the case. This award has been presented since 1962, so that's what, 63 years. And this, if Miyu wins or one of the other Japanese rookies wins, it'll be only the third time. So although it seems like the Japanese rookies have always been good, it's really more of a recent phenomenon, and I think speaks highly to the Japanese program and the Japanese tour. Just a little bit more about how the rookie ranking point system works. Obviously, only rookies earn points. They are awarded for top 10 finishes in official LPGA events. If you're at a major and you score well, those points count double, which explains how Miyu probably shot up there after winning a major. Let's see. A rookie winner, they'll get 150 points for first, 80 for second, 75 for third, 70 for fourth, and then down to 55 points for 10th place. So really, Ryu Takeda is definitely not out of it. Even the Iwai sisters, who I believe are third and fourth, are not out of it. There are a lot of tournaments left, but still, Yamashita is definitely delivering this year. She's really emerging as a standout rookie, combining that consistent scoring with a lot of potential. And I just love watching her play. She's amazing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next week on the tour. Let's talk a little bit more, speaking of rookies, about our pre-rookies, I guess, the Epson Tour graduates that are coming to the LPGA. Of course, this is not a full list. The Epson Tour is not over. It will not be over until October 5th at the Epson Tour Championship in Indian Wells, California. But we do have, let's see, 5 different players that have won their LPGA Tour card. The most recent one, the youngest, is 19-year-old American Yana Wilson. She made her professional debut this past weekend at the Kroger Queen City Championship. She originally was going to play golf at the University of Oregon, but chose to do the Epson Tour, said she had always dreamed of turning professional. So I look forward to watching her play. We also have Erika Hana, who is a Japanese player. She is 26, so she has been on the Japanese tour for a little bit. She actually won the Japanese Open in 2020 and 2023. She turned professional 7 years ago in 2018, and then has spent several seasons in Japan before joining the Epson Tour. So she, I'm sure, is thrilled to have her card and finally be on the LPGA Tour. Can't wait to see her play. We also have 23-year-old American Melanie Green from Medina, New York. She has got her tour card. She played for the University of South Florida and will be joining the tour. We also have 25-year-old American Gina Kim. She played at Duke. She joined the Epson Tour in 2022. She's had 4 wins there. She used to be on the LPGA, so she went Epson, LPGA, Epson, LPGA. She's a really outgoing player. She called herself, I didn't say it, she called herself a yapper. So I bet she'll be a great personality to add to the LPGA Tour. And finally, the last Epson Tour player that will be definitely joining us on the LPGA Tour is Brianna Chacon. Sorry for that. She's American. She's from California. She did play golf at the University of Oregon, and she joined the Epson Tour last year in 2024, so she didn't spend too much time there before making her way to the LPGA Tour. So really, there's a new wave of talent that's on its way to the LPGA. A lot of Americans, which, as an American, it's always great to see. I'm curious to see how Yana Wilson does. She is just 19 years old. That's such a baby. She's so young. And choosing to do professional golf over college, and that experience you get from college, I'll be really curious to see sort of this generational shift in how young players are approaching their careers. So we'll see how that goes. And the big news that I wanted to talk about is Craig Kessler's first players meeting. Craig Kessler is, of course, the new LPGA commissioner. He started on July 15th, so it's been a few months now, but he held his first player meeting during the FM Championship a few weeks ago. I am trying to be open-minded about his election or, his appointment as the new commissioner. I'll point out a few things I'm a little concerned about as we go through the story. He did acknowledge that he's never been a part of an organization that has so much to work on. Not calling it failing, but kind of, I don't know, not a very positive approach. But then he stated his top priority is building trust and showing the team a lot of love, meaning like the broadcast partners, the players, people who work for LPGA. I don't know. not the approach that I would necessarily want my new boss to take if I were of an organization like the LPGA. A player raised concerns, during the players' meeting about the LPGA's fan-facing app, which I can agree is garbage. I mean, not garbage, but it's not great, and it could be very much improved. Kessler said that that is not in his top 15 priorities right now, according to an article in Golf Week or USA Today. So I think it's great to acknowledge that the player has an issue with the app and that he has priorities, but to say that the LPGA's fan-facing app, which honestly, everyone's chronically online, they're all on their phones, to have the app be bad, and if you not to even think that's like a top 15, top 5, sure, that's not a top 5 priority, but 15, yeesh. The LPGA also is reportedly working with sports media advisors to map out a media strategy to get more attention for the LPGA. I did look up the sports media advisors. They don't appear to have any sports that are, women's sports clients. I think that's a bit of a miss. Personally, it's just a small outfit out of Connecticut. While they do have big clients like some NFL, some horse racing, I think women's sports is a different animal, and I think it deserves a lot of specialized attention. And I will remain open-minded that maybe sports media advisors will bring a good strategy for the LPGA. Also, pointing out that the current TV deal is with the Golf Channel and it runs through 2030. There's obviously issues with the Golf Channel, which is an NBC-based station. If there was a recent tournament where there was, I think it was FM Championship, where there was some weather, and so the scheduled time for the LPGA to be on TV was moved back, and it conflicted with the men's tour, and the men's tour won out. So, my issue with that is, that's fine, right? Like that's what the Golf Channel is going to offer the LPGA. But then when you look at how Greg Kessler approached it, he says that the LPGA has to be more compelling so that when scheduling conflicts arise, that the LPGA will win, right? They'll play the LPGA tournament and not the PGA. Well, that's wonderful. I don't think that that is a good strategy. If the Golf Channel can't give your fans access to the tournament, what else are they doing? Like I personally, when I started watching golf, I had to purchase a whole new set of Hulu Live TV, which I didn't have, to watch the Golf Channel. And so when the Golf Channel can't even deliver, and I think I'm a pretty standard fan. I think I'm the market for a lot of the LPGA, especially if you want to raise the number of women fans, which I think you absolutely should be focused on, to then, and youngish, right? Younger fans. I think it's crazy to say that it's the women's fault. It's the women's game's fault for not being compelling enough to overpower the historic inequities that have made the PGA Tour so much bigger than the LPGA Tour. I think that is crazy. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's a good strategy. I don't think saying that, having that out in the world, I found that in a news article that wasn't hidden away. I think that is a really negative, blaming the victim kind of mentality instead of thinking outside of the box and finding a new way to make sure that women's sports are watchable and on TV. I'll get off my soapbox soon, I promise. He did talk about the need to bring attention to the players, saying that they have to be both good at playing and also interesting. Again, a little bit of blaming the women. I think the women are both amazing at playing and interesting. You just have to get to know them. They need the space to show how interesting they are. He's again blaming the women for not being interesting or good enough. He did reference Drive to Survive, which of course made F1 very popular, and then Full Swing, which made the PGA. I mean, PGA was already popular, but it did help to bring a little bit more attention to the PGA Tour. He did say that there are third-party creators that have offered to help tell LPGA stories. So I think he's going to be leaning on some social media, some creators online, though he declined to share the names. So we'll see what that means and who their target audience will be. There are plenty of great content creators online that could bring attention like he's, I think, envisioning. I still am a bit cautious that he's going to be going after the male gaze and going after male fans without really focusing on what makes women's sports amazing and what's made the WNBA so popular, what's made women's rugby so popular, women's soccer, women's softball. I mean, really, I could go on. Like all of these women's sports are becoming so popular because they're doing things differently to get the attention of the right people, of the right viewers. I am not someone who ever thought I would be watching women's sports, period. I watched, NFL, the Packers. I watched the universities I went to. I watched a lot of NCAA men's basketball. I watched sports, but never women's sports until I started watching the LPGA and gave it a chance because a friend introduced me. So I really don't think this traditional method of getting fans through focusing on male fans is really what's going to grow the LPGA fan base. Anyway, just a few more things. He did acknowledge, Craig Kessler, that he's working on the schedule, which I do think is a good thing to acknowledge. He doesn't want to have so much travel whiplash, avoiding hopping all over the country or the world. There's only so much he can do because a lot of the tournaments are on cycles and multiple year plans and contracts. So he can't just, change it with the snap of his fingers. He said the first half of the year is really nailed down well, though he did acknowledge there's a scheduling issue with the majors. There are 3 majors in a 6-week period. Let's see, it's the KPMG Women's Championship in late June, a week off, and then the women have the Evian Championship, which is a major. Then they have a week off. Then it's the Scottish Open, which is not a major, but then the next week is the AIG Women's Open. That is a crazy travel schedule, and 3 majors in 6 weeks. It's going to be a lot for the women, a lot for everyone. So I know that that's not really his fault. That's something that's going to take a couple years to really figure out, but I do have faith that that's a problem that he's working through. So again, kind of a mixed bag. I think there's a lot of not acknowledging that women's sports is different than men's sports. And instead of saying the women should be more like men, I think we need to celebrate the fact that they're women and how that makes the sport more compelling. Because for people like me, it inherently makes the sport more compelling because of the fact they're women, how they play the game, how they interact with each other, how they interact with social media and their fans. These women are already good at golf. They are already very interesting. We just need to give them the platform to tell their stories. So that's all I have about Craig Kessler. I think that was funny. I will remain open-minded. It's only been a few months, right? I just think he needs to be more careful about the narrative that he's putting out into the world for those that are paying attention. And here at the Birdie Briefing on the Birdie Buzz, I will be bringing you all of that news on a weekly basis so that you can stay up to date about what's happening in women's golf. I also want to give a plug to our website, birdiebriefing.com. We have all sorts of news stories on there. We have all of the tournament coverage you would really need. You could just go to the Birdie Briefing, just like the updated scores in real time, the tee times, how you can watch it, all of that information. There's so much on there. You could just go check it out. It's translated into 12 different languages if that's of interest to you. So please go check out the Birdie Briefing. The website is just birdiebriefing.com for more golf news. Okay, that's enough. I'm Marie with the Birdie Briefing. This was the Birdie Buzz for the week of